Hi, welcome to me. I do want to add a trigger warning. The first video is a lot more lighthearted. The second video I react to is a little heavier. There are some darker themes, so trigger warning for the topics of unalive, things like that, like self-unaliving, um, things like that. So just a heads up. The second portion of this video, there's a lot more detailed depictions of bullying and things like that. This is going to be my first pre-recorded react. I've done a couple reaction live streams up until this point, but I just got this idea and I can't sleep. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this now. I'm going to at least do this first reaction and talk a little bit. So for some context, yes, this is me on the screen. This video, I believe if I remember correctly from what I just read, it was from July of 2014. This is my first YouTube vlog. So we're gonna do Rosie reacts to retro Rosie. First of all, we love alliteration. Second of all, I think this is gonna be really interesting. I'm going in blind. I think at some point I've rewatched these years ago, but I have not seen this in years. First of all, can we talk about how much I miss the ability to have long hair? Second of all, that was me with I used to do like signature wing type makeup. This is actually pretty tame. In fact, I think I purposefully like calmed my makeup down because I didn't want to look too like intense in my first YouTube debut. I remember being so nervous. This was during the height of the r/fat people hate stuff. So let me actually show you something. I haven't scrolled down to the comments yet because I had to unlist this to film this. It will no longer be unlisted. And as you can see, this is 9 years ago, 2.8 thousand views. The reality is probably about 2,000 of this was r/fat people hate, and I don't even know how to check for dislikes. Just scroll down to the comments for the first time, and there's some usernames I recognize and stuff. It looks like I deleted all of the hate because there's about 20 comments on this video, and they were a lot of people being like they saw me from like the body positive campaigns, the this, the that. But this was from 9 years ago, and we're gonna get into this. I'm nervous, man. I won't lie to you. I'm nervous. I think what I want to do, I think, yeah, I'm gonna make my current face bigger than my previous face. The other format is what I tend to do when I do the live reactions to other people's content. But I think this is how I want to do it because sometimes y'all know I'm expressive as hell, and I am filming this off of a much older like Lenovo ThinkBook laptop, so the quality visually is definitely better on my iPhone. But we're here. I'm so nervous to watch this. This is from like a period of my life I don't remember, like because of the trauma, because of this is before my concussions. Um, like this is crazy. Um, so the title, I don't think I've even addressed the title. So I titled it my first shitty vlog with an exclamation point. Because I guess that was just me being self-conscious. Because I was just so nervous about being bad at YouTube. Also, I remember this dress. I loved this dress so much. It was like a gorgeous corally orange tank maxi dress. Oh, I was so sad when it like was too fucked up to keep wearing. Um, and I think I filmed this. I had this like HD webcam that I think my ex sent to me either at the beginning of us talking or like yeah, it was well before we met in person. Um but he sent it to me so we could like cuz we would Skype all day every day. I don't know who I'm going to mention in this video. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. It's just probably just like a more general intro, but okay, let's do this.
My name is Rosie, and I post a lot on Instagram.
That voice. Masking who was she? I didn't know her.
And I'm a person on the internet that's there. And so I decided that I wanted to make YouTube videos. I really only have a high definition shitty webcam for video making. And what's on my computer? I'm just
this is painful.
somebody who's been a part of the YouTube community since I was 15, 16, 2006, 2007. Started watching Shane Dawson.
I'm so sorry. Hi, repent for my sins.
And went and fell, and then after watching Shane Dawson, I just kind of fell into the rabbit hole that is the YouTube community that I love and adore, and I'm a part of. And I've never made a video before, so.
Oh my God! Look, okay, so I have this problem when I wear makeup. I'm not crying. My eyes are just watering. How did I not notice that? How did I still post? Oh my God. I'm embarrassing.
I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and do it. You know what? Screw it. I'm 22 years old. I have always wanted to.
How old was I? Have I been rounding my age wrong?
I'm 22 years old.
In 2014, I was 22? I was born in 91, right? I was 22? Things happened when I was younger. Shit.
I have always wanted to participate in this community, so I'm going to start doing it. Even if it's me looking crazy with a webcam.
Jeez, the insecurity is popping.
Well, I'm going to see where this takes me, because
it took you a long time to really get there. I wasn't ready. It's like, that's so clear to me. I wasn't ready for this. Like,
want to create videos. The direction or channel or really what exactly I want to do, I don't know. I know that I want to talk, I want to rant, I want to talk and promote body positivity, which I already do.
I got some news for you, bestie. I got some news.
On other websites.
Me a decade ago would have had an aneurysm in 2024, Rosie. Let's be so real.
Like Instagram, Quirkyloverosee, which is where I'm pretty sure 90% of people watching this video will be from there anyway. But I digress.
I wish. I wish that had been the case. I wish.
I just want to be a part of this. It's weird. I've slowly been making 15-second videos and getting used to looking at myself in the camera without even recording, just kind of, so maybe it's a little creepy, but just kind of staring at myself.
Oh baby, I remember that. Oh, why am I getting emotional already? Yeah, I've talked in the past about how things that I did to build my self-esteem. This is in the beginning of that journey. Already we're crying. Kind
of getting used to making a connection, and that's what I want to do. I want to connect, and which is why
this must have been right around the time Snapchat era Rosie was happening. I think some of my friends might remember better than I will, honestly.
I love the internet, and I love video making, and not knowing anything that I'm doing. Just I don't know anything about makeup, and I'm trying to teach myself how to do that. Or
this is the beginning of my makeup era. Yeah, and that checks out with the way my eyeliner looks.
I really, at this point, I'm going to try to keep this video not too terribly long. Really, I just wanted to kind of introduce myself, make this.
Yeah, has there been a single job cut? I don't think so. I might have done a straight upload. Yeah, I think I played around with editing, I think, after this video, and that is I had Windows Movie Maker, okay? I didn't have much to work with.
first video. Get over that hump that I've literally just sat and stared at.
Literally.
For 3, 4, 5 years at this point. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, the girl wasn't editing.
Of just my fear of not wanting to overcome something that I know would benefit me and that I would love to do. So that's why I'm talking to this camera right now. Because I
had no idea what was coming in my life. This is hard. This is weird. This is a lot for me. So, yeah. This was like before, yeah. I was like still processing my religious trauma. I was, yeah. Oh, wow. This is like a lot for me to think about. Just like what I've experienced in the past 9 years is like monumentally overwhelming.
say these different things here, in different posts about, just attached to a selfie or whatever, just what I'm thinking that day. And I think it's time that, I might have to script them. I don't know. This is totally offhand me right now. And I hope that I get to really say what I want to say. And I feel like the best platform for that is with my mouth, because I can only type so much before my fingers fall off. So, by the way, I'm not crying. My eyes are really sensitive and annoying, and they just randomly water, and it's stupid. There's going to be awkward jump cuts to this video because I don't know what I'm going to do.
I knew how to edit a jump cut, but I couldn't jump cut a fucking cough. Okay. Girl.
I'm going to have to figure out how to jump cut. Shit. So before I end this video, I do want to leave with a message. That message being, over everything else, you need to love yourself while having empathy and compassion for those around you.
She told no lies.
I'm kind of just going to vlog, I'm going to just say what I have to say, talk about what I'm going to talk about, be who I want to be. And over everything else, this is going to be awkward angle. It's not working. It's not working. So stay true. So
that ink looks so fresh. It must have been not long before this vlog that I got that.
That's what my tattoo says. Stay true. And that's truthfully why I got that, is that no matter who I want to be, I will be staying true. I will be staying true to my core and staying true to my core beliefs of love, equality, and happiness.
Yeah.
Those are truthfully the 3 things I want out of life. I want to love myself. I want to love my friends. I want to love my family. I want everyone to have equal opportunity and equal love. And I want happiness. And however I find that, and however you find that for yourself. And that's kind of what I live my life by. And whatever that might mean at whatever age and whatever part of my life, wherever I am, whomever I'm with, family, friends, relationships, the core thing being love, quality, happiness. And that's oversimplifying it, of course, obviously. But really,
it's kind of crazy how much I've changed and how much I'm so very much the same.
I hope with
the preening is growing crazy. I definitely used to do that, and I a lot more. I think I still do, but especially with the long hair, just the like, I was very much that.
This channel, I'll be able to document lifestyle changes, health changes, medical issues, mental issues, really talk about the things that honestly are treated so much like a taboo. Things that are treated so much like just a taboo topic, like you know the stigmatization of bipolar, the
So yeah, for context, in case people don't know, if you're newer subscribers, this was well before I knew about my bipolar being a misdiagnosis. So this time I did not know what CPTSD was. At this time, I had not had conversations about, no, yeah, no, it was not too long after this time period, but I think it might have been the following year. Might have even been at the end of this year. Like, it might, again, it's like I'm trying to remember when those conversations happened. I don't think I even did. I God, I fucking hate having a bad memory. It was around this time, but I think even in the so God, trying to remember. If I didn't already know that I had PTSD in this moment, I was going to find out not long after. And there was a period of time where I thought it was both, because obviously you can have PTSD or CPTSD and be bipolar, right? But it took some time to like fully understand that I did not have bipolar disorder. No, like nothing against it. That's just it was a misdiagnosis at the age of 16 for me. So if there is any mention of that in any of this reaction content, I'll keep reminding y'all that that was a misdiagnosis.
mental health issues in general, and the fact that people still think that it's not real. And, a lot of us here on the internet come here to kind of group together and feel safe and accepted because there's so many people in this world who just don't even.
I think one of the reasons I'm feeling so emotional about this is it's just reminding me of like the core of how I got into body positivity, the core of like why I loved it, the parts of it that were good. Like this was like peak body positivity community era. Like this time period. Like there wasn't a lot of drama. It wasn't for the money. It the corporate shills hadn't figured out how to corporate shill yet. There was just a lot of education, support, and love and positive reinforcement, and it was a different world than what it turned into. Like even before I left, that switch started happening around 2016, 17. With the likes of Megan Trainor and Tess Holiday and just like certain people just really bastardizing the community aspects, and then the real surgence of like fat acceptance within the body positivity spaces. Like yeah, I might be romanticizing a little bit too in my memory, but like I'm hearing myself like highlighting the best parts of it, the things that made me fall in love with myself in the sense of having a sense of self-love for the first time. I was still trying to figure it out in this period. But yeah, this is emotional.
Who just think you are crazy when you're not. When you're dealing with things that are truthfully just like utter hell and no one else can see it but yourself, that's a lonely feeling. And having that what feels like that burden of being by yourself when you're not. You are not alone. You're never alone. There's always someone somewhere who understands where you're coming from. They may not 100% get your perspective on every detail in your life or in the world, but they can understand where you're coming from. There is someone who will understand your pain, who will get what that emotion is and can empathize with you and can help support you. You're never alone. You're never alone. And these are the kind of things that I want to talk about, that I want to give advice on. Do what I say. Don't do what I do. Do what I say, because what I say.
That was wild.
Say it's right. I may not do what I say. You know that.
Oh, this is so millennial coded. It hurts.
Anyway. Yeah. I hope that maybe one day I'll upgrade to an actual camera.
One day, smartphones are really gonna catch up, bitch.
That'll be cool. And my hair not looking so ratchet. That'd be cool too.
That's a word I shouldn't have used.
And one day maybe have more of a direction and understanding of what I want to do. Right now, I'm kind of just going to put up random things that maybe want to talk about my life, vent about stupid customers, about at my current location of a job that I'm not going to disclose here on the YouTubes. Or
I still say the YouTubes. That's funny.
maybe talk about makeup, do reviews, from an amateur plus size girl perspective, talking about body positivity, overweight issues, medical issues, health, whatever.
I'm so glad I didn't get into that at this stage. What's so interesting is, like, I know for a fact at this point, not to bring her up, but I think it's important, I guess. At this point, I didn't know who ALR was. And that is something that's been in the back of my head as I'm watching this, I'll be honest. So that's just interesting.
I've lived a long life at this point.
I didn't know about that side of YouTube. Like, this was 100% organic.
2 years, it's a pretty decent chunk of time. I think I have something to offer, and that's why I'm here. So I hope to have fun. That's what I'm here for. And regardless, I hope everyone watching has a wonderful day, wonderful night, and stay true.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Give me just a second. All right. So I'm going to jump forward. There's more videos. And honestly, I may end up reacting to more of these. But I just discovered that there's a way for me to see the likes versus dislikes ratio. It's kind of crazy. All my current content is in like the 90s and 80s percentile, and I get to these and it's like 55%, 26%, 38%, 53%, 35%, 38%, because I was dislike bombed by r/crap people hate. That's crazy. But I want to go ahead and react to this one's called My Schooling Experience Bullying. This is gonna probably be like really intense, honestly. Because this is gonna come from a place of a better memory too. Like, I'm gonna remember it better from telling it in the perspective of 2014. This was back so in September, so it was like a few months later I uploaded this video. So let's go, I guess. All right. Okay. So it looks like I got a bit of a haircut in that time. Still had longer hair, but yeah, the length I had it at in that video is like the longest I really ever kept it at that point. I remember that chevron blanket back there. Yeah. See, look, I'm wearing a sanctuary tie-dye dress like fucking almost 10 years ago. I don't, obviously I don't have this exact one anymore, but I've been wearing these for years.
Hello. So, I kind of been having this like inner monologue today. And so I decided, I was like, I think I want to record myself talking about this. Because it was a very big part of my life. And I think that what I've decided to do is I think I want to make a bunch of videos about, you know, different sections of my life, where I've come from, what I've experienced, so I can just get it out in the universe and it'll help me like really let it go. And I think that these are experiences that I can share for others to see that would really benefit maybe people going through the same things, or who have felt the same things, or who have experienced them. So today's video, I'm actually kind of nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel the pit in my stomach. Like, this is close to home. Because today, what I wanted to talk about, high school, schooling, and going through public school, and what that did for my life. So if I am crying in this video, don't be surprised.
I think I do cry. I don't think it was crazy, but I think I do like tear up.
As I'm sure you're gonna be aware,
y'all see me cry. This ain't new.
Wasn't a positive experience for me. But I was born in Michigan, and I went to I started public school in first grade, and I was homeschooled for kindergarten technically. And my sister was homeschooled for a lot longer, but then we did end up going to public school. So I went to this elementary school from first grade to second grade. And I was actually kind of almost popular. You know, I had a lot of friends. I was very bubbly. I actually, you know, I have positive memories. I don't remember being bullied. Maybe I had mean things said to me in the playground or whatever, but I really don't remember much.
The preening is too much. Oh my God. Ugh.
From Michigan at all, because I do have a lot of repressed memories that I suffer from different, you know, aspects that have happened, and I tend to take bad things and suppress them. And you know, I've even had like moments of almost like a panic attack, where I've had a repressed memory come up and startle the hell out of me, because I've had.
Yeah, that was something that did happen a lot throughout my early 20s, which is interesting. I feel like I haven't had that experience in a long time, which is nice, because those are alarming when they happen. Absolutely.
You know, I've had issues with that in the past, but either way. So during that time, it was all right. Like, it was just me being a kid and me dealing with what I dealt with up to the age of 9, which there was a few things that happened, but that's a different video. And we moved to.
I'm surprised at the level that I'm like not trauma dumping for 2014 me in this portion. That was a level of restraint I didn't think I had back then.
Georgia in like end of 2000, beginning of 2001 in December. And so we started school.
I think we did move in December of 99. I think it was something I used to struggle to remember a lot. I think that's what it was, because I couldn't remember if it was December of 99 or 2000 that we moved.
Well, here, I was in the 4th grade, and the first few weeks, months, I don't know how long exactly, I wasn't happy about being here. I didn't want to leave my friends. I didn't like the.
I was pissed. I wasn't just happy. I was pissed.
Prospect of being here, and unfortunately, my child self made the very horrible decision of alienating myself.
Yeah, I was just not. I was mad. Like, I didn't I was so young. I didn't know better. I didn't understand what I was doing, but I was just like, I did not handle the adjustment well. It was such a massive change. We had like a 3-day road trip from Michigan to Georgia, with like 3 cats and 3 kids, and it was like, and like we had this like gigantic like 15-seat passenger van. So if I remember right, um maybe I because I remember a lot of the time we didn't have a third bench. Um, but I think maybe for the move we did, because I think for the maybe I think for the move we each had our own bench that we basically got to like lay on and stuff. Because I know I have a lot of memories all of a sudden coming back up of like being frustrated that we no longer had the third bench. Something happened to it, I think. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like we had a 15 passenger seat capacity van for a family of 5. Um, I don't remember like the reasoning for that or how that happened, but it did give a lot more space for the move. I wonder if we. I wonder if I'm conflating memories actually, because I know we had a green minivan. I guess I'd have to ask my parents which because I'm sure they would remember which car we moved down in. Um, I just don't remember. I don't know. I might edit a lot of that out.
which kind of set me up for the rest of my public school career. I think if I had been more friendly when I first got here, I could have at least had some friends. Um,
I did kind of quickly realize that, like, oh, I'm gonna be here now, and I'd like to make some friends. At that point, I had kind of just come off as like standoffish, and I wasn't like bullying people, but I was just like, like angry and not being pleasant, because I mean, it's just interesting thinking now from the perspective of everything I've learned about myself, and just knowing about neurodivergency, and knowing like how much I did struggle with change, and like how I didn't even understand that that's the experience I was having, like as in the perspective of my child self.
as maybe being the friendly, funny, fat kid or whatever that a lot of people may go through, but that's not what happened to me. I pretty much alienated myself, and once I realized that I was staying here and I wasn't going home and I had accepted that fact, it was too late. There was one girl from elementary school, like the early stages on, and there's another girl who later on was a friend to me. Megan was like my only.
I had like accidentally said her full name, and I didn't know how to properly edit that. So I guess that's what I settled on.
Friend in elementary school at that point, and we actually ended up working together when I worked at Target for a few months, and
Yeah.
We've talked about that, and it was really cool to reconnect with her, and she was.
Target was my first real job period ever. It was a seasonal job. I reconnected with a couple people that I had gone to high school with, but we weren't really friends in high school. We ended up being friends for some time. Because like we would have like what we called like random dance parties. Well, because when you worked at Target, if you weren't actively checking someone out, you had to like walk to the end of the cashier line and just kind of stand there and wait for the next person. So when we would both be doing that, and like they were playing the overhead music, we would just have, they were just like, one of us would yell random dance party and we'd just start dancing. I liked that aspect of it. I liked parts of that job. I hated the management, and um they also like, and this, so that was like in 2010. So we did that, and then like they basically would hire people for the holidays, and then by January they let go of like literally almost everyone they hired. So I was hired for a seasonal position, and then that was when I ended up briefly working at Zaxby's, and that kind of ignited my like deep love for Zaxby's for such a long time. Um, and then within a few months from that was when I got my first, what I call my like first big girl job. In like, and I think that happened in early 2012, because between the seasonal job and the Zaxby's job, there was like a decent amount of time where I was just like unemployed and didn't really know what to do. And that was like when my relationship happened. At the time I was like really struggling to find work, and I was physically really I was younger, so I had more stamina and stuff, but physically wise, like I was limited on like how much I could be on my feet and stuff. Like I didn't last long at Zaxby's. Like I'm really glad I found that the timing of how all that happened was really good, because I was like, well, maybe for I can stay part time a little bit at Zaxby's for a bit. But as soon as they found out I got another job, they were just like, it's probably best for you to just go do that, because I was physically really struggling with being on my feet. I did a lot of like I did back of house and front of house. Um, my favorite part was when I got to do the salad prep, because I'm like good with prepping food, right? So I would just like stand there and chop heads and heads of lettuce and cabbage and all that, and do all that kind of like all the food prep. That was the position I enjoyed the most doing. But again, it was really hard on my feet, and I don't think I even knew about accommodation options, and I don't think they tended to care to do that kind of thing in those types of positions.
She stuck up for me sometimes, but generally speaking, majority did not like me. And I will take responsibility, but I was a fourth grader. I was a child, and I made a stupid decision. But that started the ball rolling of the bullying. That's when it really started. And I used to get pulled out of class constantly to be with the counselor. I was always with in every school I went to. From that point on, I knew the counselor on a very personal basis.
That's putting it lightly.
And we.
Oh my god!
Guys, I'm gonna warn you. This is gonna be a really long video.
Yeah, I'm very nervous. Clearly, I'm like playing with my hair, and yeah, that was cringe.
But
watch Rosie cringe for an hour.
I am still really nervous. I've never been nervous before doing this. Okay. And I was very emotional as a child. I would cry at the drop of the hat, which is why I was targeted so much, as well as they got that visceral reaction they were looking for from me. In that period of my life, I had some stuff going on, and I had realizations of things that had happened to me when I was much younger, and a lot of repression of those situations because I wasn't talking about them. I hadn't told anyone. And I read a lot. In fourth grade, I had an above college rating level. I got tested once we moved here, and it was off the charts.
I think it was like the STAR testing. They like, I remember, but I do remember, like, it was off the charts, was just like, I think they had like 13.9 plus, which just meant like, that's what that meant. Like, that was the highest level, and it didn't read beyond that. Yeah, in hindsight, I see how me reading was essentially like a dissociative coping skill. It's just kind of interesting how like the invention of the smartphone really kind of did shift that for me. And then of course post concussions and stuff, I struggle with the comprehension to complete books and read books the way that I once did, and it actually like makes me really sad, like, because I miss that. I miss that feeling of like escaping into another world like that. It was like such an important part of my childhood.
And I don't say that to brag. It was just true. I was an absolute book nerd. I read every single Babysitter Club book. I read all books I could get my hands on. Like my favorites were Babysitter Club, the like American Diaries, the women and children and whomever, like in different historical periods, their diaries, and just all these different types of books.
Those fiction books, to be clear.
Harry Potter, all of it.
R.I.P. when Harry Potter was not tainted by the evil author at hand, but I digress.
And books are my friends. And then I hit middle school. And so at that point, the schools were split off, and one person went to one school and one went to the other. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to mute out names. I already said one in this video. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to edit it out or not, but whatever. I'm gonna at least last names. I'm gonna go with first name basis. But I hit middle school, and so I thought it might be a fresh start, but it wasn't much at all. During middle school, I was friends with a few different people that ended up not really being friends. People, you know, I was at a point where I would be friends with anyone who would talk to me.
This is gonna be hard.
And treat me, you know, at least with some type of kindness, because I really didn't get that. You know, I was made fun of for my weight, and things that branched off from my weight. I dealt with depression from a very young age. I've been
At least the age of 9.
in and out of therapy since I was 10 years old. And basically, middle school was just a bunch of middle school bullshit. You know, I was in and out of the office, the counselor's office. I was still very emotional. As I got older, I did get better about not, you know, breaking into tears, sobbing, needing to leave the classroom, needing to do whatever. And it was difficult. It was very difficult. But, you know, a lot of people deal with bullying. I was never very physically bullied, which was nice. You know, I didn't have to worry about, like, you know, head and toilet, being punched, you know, the more physical stuff. It was just a lot of words, a lot of backstabbing, people pretending to be my friends. One of the favorites, both in middle and high school, where, you know, the jocks or the football players would come up and ask me out, but it was a clear, like, trap, trying to make fun of me, trying to hurt me.
I remember the first time that happened. That memory just popped up. I remember the kid. I remember his name. I was sitting at the lunch table in middle school, and he walked up to me and he asked me out. And I looked at him, and I remember I was just the, like, genuine confusion. I was like, and then I saw his face break a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay. And that, like, soul crushing feeling, and then it was just relentless from there out. I don't remember how I reacted fully. I don't remember if I had a strong emotional reaction or not. But it was a very common occurrence. And it's just like, it does something to you when people treat the concept of the possibility of you being attractive as a joke. It just fucks with you.
And just being very mean. And there was actually one time in middle school, this dude, I don't remember his name, we were passing notes, because this is before cell phones. We were passing notes, and he asked me to go to a concert with him, and he actually seemed sincere, and I was very confused. And I was very Mormon at the time, and it was like for some metal thing, so I just kind of used that as an excuse to get out of it, because I couldn't trust it. And then, you know, because he seemed like he was actually trying to be nice. But then we went to my next class in the science room, and he was making fun of me in front of the whole class. So,
like, yeah, that these exchanges happened. I turned him down. The bell rang. We went to the next class that we both happened to have together. I walk into that room, and then he's like just full on showboating, making fun of me. But he didn't. I remember specifically, like, he didn't talk about what was going on in the note. He didn't, like, pretend, like, he didn't mention asking me out, like, but he was making fun of me in other ways. And I kept that part to myself, if I remember right. Frankly, because I just was afraid. I was like, I think if I remember right, like, I was afraid people wouldn't believe me, right?
we'll take it either way. It could have been a joke, could have not been. I don't know. I really don't know. In 8th grade, I lost 40 pounds on Atkins, and then an
40? I remember it being 50. Have I conflated that over time, or Was I wrong in this video? I actually don't know. It has to be 50. I don't know.
Argument with my mom deterred me, and I gave up and went back to regular eating habits. I was actually very dedicated during that time. I took my lunch to school every day, had my set meals, and I had been doing it for a while. And I actually remember very vividly they had put a picture of me on like the class website that they were setting up for a project, and I saw my face and I became terrified because I saw how much thinner I had become, and it scared me.
I think that's the first time I ever experienced body dysmorphia.
It genuinely terrified me. I became scared. And that was one of the first times when I really realized and had the instance that this was protecting me from the outside world, protecting me from being hurt again. So it was, I started struggling
That was me resetting my emotions. Yeah.
With the weight loss, and I started struggling with the changes, and I started trying to combat them. Like, I was putting too many condiments on my food. I was slowly.
And I said that because the argument I had with my mom was over Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. I remember it so fucking vividly, eating grilled chicken breast and my mom getting so pissed that I was like using a not low carb sauce with my food, and it like being a waste of money and it being not worth it. And me finally, like, and I was like, preteen, teenage, and just like, well, fine, then we just won't do it at all. And then she was like, okay. And then I stopped, gained all my weight back plus more. It was just like, yeah. But I mean, I was a kid. We didn't know. I should have been doing Atkins to begin with.
Sabotaging myself to where it got an argument with my mom, and I just threw up my hands. I was like, fine, whatever. Then I won't do it. I won't waste the money, whatever the argument was.
There you go.
And I was, what, 12, 13 in 8th grade? Maybe 14? I have no idea. But up until then, I had pretty decent grades, and I had teachers who were very understanding of the different situations. And I was intelligent. I am intelligent. I'm not stupid. But moving into,
that was a big insecurity of mine for a long time. I can't remember the last time I've said something like that, because I finally have accepted and known that as a part of like who I am. I used to say that phrasing a lot as like, I guess a sense of self reassurance. I guess it's like a sense of self reassurance.
To my freshman year was when I started having issues with my grades, because it got to a point where every day I was trying to figure out a way to get out of going back. Every day. I hated getting out of bed. I hated being alive. I hated myself. I hated the world. I hated everything, and I just wanted it to end. And it was during high school. There was a time where I did, I don't talk about this because no one knows it, but I did attempt. And a phone call saved my life.
Have I talked about this publicly since then? I don't know.
One time I was sitting there staring at a bottle of pills. And she called me and just wanted to see how I was doing. And
I remember specifically what she said. She said, "Are you okay?" It was like the first thing she said to me. I remember the person. I remember the moment. I remember my home phone ringing. I remember it. I don't remember the pills, but I was so on the fence, and like the moment where I was about to just have like a fuck it moment was when the phone rang.
I snapped out of whatever episode I was having and Thankfully, I was too much of a coward to try to do anything again. Because
I don't love that phrasing, but yeah.
I'm so thankful to be here and to see where my life is gone. But in high school, there was a lot of people, very specifically the football players, people's names that I will never forget for the things that
Yeah.
they did to me. The teacher who openly made fun of me in Spanish class.
I've shared that story many times. I'm assuming I've done it on YouTube so far. I wonder how much in detail I'm gonna go, because I will expand, because fuck that bitch. You know what? Fuck you, Miss. You know what? Fuck you, Miss Nunez. You suck.
And took sentences from other kids bullying me and translating them into Spanish as part of the lesson.
Man, at that point, that still hurt. Now I'm just like, fuck you, you old croony ass bitch.
I'll never forget the words said to me walking down the hallways, and I will never forget the games that were invented to torment me.
Before past me continues, I want to expand on the teacher thing, because literally fuck that bitch. Because not only did she do that, not only was she just like a mean woman. Like, I ended up reconnecting with other students who I didn't even realize, like, I think she was just one of those like pick me teachers, because I think she liked a lot of the male students, but she would like hone in and pick on like a lot of female students. And something else that happened, one of the kids that bullied me a lot, for one of the lessons that we did in the Spanish class, we had to like draw a picture and I guess like do a presentation using, I guess, certain words or phrasings in Spanish or whatever. And when it came time for him to do his presentation, he showed a picture. And at the time I had a crush on a guy that people made fun of me a lot for. And it wasn't actually a guy that I've mentioned in the past. Like, there was this guy I had like a crush on for 5 years, but whenever he and I had a falling out, so this was roughly around like 10th, 11th grade, for me, he gave this presentation of this other person who was a nerdy football player. And he like drew this guy, input the jersey number, did like these like random little things. Like, I think I remember there being like a broken heart, like some random shit. And then the part that was like really fucked up was he like went out of his way to make him black. So like just sprinkled on some racism in there. And then that's in response to that, like with the whole class laughing about it, the whole nine. And I'm just sitting there feeling so small. This bitch hangs that drawing in the hallway. And at some point I walk into that hallway, either, I don't know if it was out of that classroom or a different classroom, but that the memory that I can't ever get out of my fucking head is walking down that specific hallway where like all the language classes were and the language arts were, and seeing the crowd of students around that fucking photo that he drew, that drawing that he drew, and like laughing, like the richer kids taking pictures on their fucking like sidekicks and early iPhones and shit. Like, it was so fucked up that happened. And then I went to her and I begged her to take it down, and she had this smug ass look on her face and she just refused, and she made it clear I would be in trouble if I took it down. And so I didn't take it down immediately because I knew that it would look like I did it. But eventually I got so fucking angry that when like I think I got myself excused from a class, and I went into that hallway at some point when like there was no one there, and I tore that shit down and ripped it up and threw it away, because that was fucking psychological abuse. That shit was evil. That shit was evil. The fact that people like that can be teachers, it's fucking insane. I'm gonna go back a little bit because I feel like I said a couple other things here.
Walking down the hallways, and I will never forget the games that were invented to torment me. I'll never forget the actions done to target me.
Man, I was still hurting from that at this point. At this point, I would say I feel like I've really processed this part of my trauma story. Like at this point, like this is a drop in the bucket compared to other shit I've experienced, right? Because this video was made like around the time that stuff was happening, but I don't think the height of it had happened yet in terms of the r/fat people hate to be specific.
But I will forgive them, and they'll forgive myself for blaming myself for so long. I will remember that these were people in high school where some may not have matured, and some may be people who are fueled with some of the other hatred that I do get from grown adults. But I know now who I am. And in a way, I kind of thank these people, because I don't
Fuck them bitches.
think I could ever be as strong as I am, or have as much gratitude for life that I have now, if I hadn't been dealt the cards that I have been dealt. That any person with any type of adversity in their life, whether it is weight, eating disorders, depression, bipolar,
PTSD,
anorexia, bulimia, self-harm, depression, I already said depression, but being medical disorders, diseases, cancer, whatever your ailment, your trauma, whatever it is.
Okay, if I said the word trauma, I must have known a little bit about it then. I think this was definitely before my trauma specialized treatment, before I had a much fuller understanding of my trauma. But if I'm using the word trauma, that means I had a little bit of education around the topic at this point.
Taking that adversity and taking those concerns and turning them to make yourself into a better person, that's the best thing you can do for yourself. And I believe I'm a product of that. I'm going to kind of go back on track now, because I kind of went on a side note there, but when I was 15, I believe, my personal opinion, and this was not given to me by a doctor, I do believe that the environmental issues that have happened from being a very young child, through the severe bullying, through the different things that happened to me, my bipolar was very prematurely triggered. It's not.
Again, I was diagnosed. Knowing what I know now, I think I had a mental break. I think the accumulation of all the unchecked trauma caused like a snap in me, in a sense. Like I kind of just snapped. I lost control.
Not normal for a 15-year-old to start showing symptoms of being bipolar, because generally adolescents are moody. There was a year where up until this point I had kind of just taken it. I had kept to myself. I may have retorted a few things or tried to, but to no avail. I snapped. I was done.
Yep.
During that time, I did a 180-degree bitch slap across someone's face. That was
I'll let myself finish, because I will go into detail about this story if I don't do it here.
Probably the most satisfying moment of my life. I'm not even gonna lie. This kid had constantly made fun of me and tormented me, and he was directly behind me, and he was still going on as he had been the entire science class. And I was done. I was so done. I didn't care anymore, and I took my hand, turned around, full 180, direct impact across his face, and
so just to kind of go into slightly more detail, basically, for the entirety, like this science teacher was the kind of teacher who would just like give out worksheets, and he was a teacher solely to be a coach. He didn't give a shit about teaching. He picked something, he picked a random topic, he taught it. So he I think he got fired for giving the sports players grades they didn't deserve, if I remember correctly. My high school was a fucking shit show. That's a whole other topic for another day. But um so there was just like a lot of free reign because he didn't care. He didn't do anything ever. So in this class specifically, I just would deal with a lot of like the relentless shit. And this kid, his name was Spencer. He was really short and really fat too. Like he was fat too, but he had friends, and he was like, again, he kind of hit that like fat funny marker for a lot of people. But he was really shitty to me because that was the popular in thing to do. And he was going, and then the bell rang, and I got up to leave, and he was right behind me, and he was still going, like he wouldn't shut up. And so without thinking about it, with just out of fucking nowhere, I had no frame of reference. I did a complete 180 with my hand with like and it landed direct across his face. One of the highlights of high school for me. I turned around and I just smiled. I had this like smug ass look on my face. I remember I was just like, it was just like that was the most satisfying moment for me. Truly. I walked away and I thought, I'm gonna get ISS and I'm okay with it. And that's exactly what happened. ISS is in school suspension, in case you're not familiar with that terminology. And I actually really liked ISS because people left me alone in there. It was quiet. I just got to read and do my homework. I really liked ISS.
I kept walking. Got 2 days of ISS, and it was so worth it. It was worth it.
A decade later, I feel the same way.
Every second of it, because I also was by myself. I didn't have to talk to people for 2 days. So
fucking Oracle here.
not sorry. Oh, when I was in elementary school, I kind of like beat up on this kid for a second.
Oh yeah, there was this football player. We were in the bleachers in the gym for some reason. Like, there was a ton of kids there. I think it might have been like some kind of rally thing, and there was another girl there. I don't remember the verbals that led up to this, but I pummeled him. Like, I was just like hitting him. It was like those are like the 2 times I physically lashed out. That was in the 6th grade, and oh, he got so much shit because he got beat up by a girl, and that girl was me. Because again, it was just like my bullying experiences were so constant. Like, I can't even begin to fully convey that to you guys. Like, those that know, right? And like, I've talked with people, even I would say backwards in like 2022. I remember like there was this girl, we're no longer connected because she was saying some really like gross opinions on her Instagram story, so I removed her. But before then, she and I connected, and she shared stories with me because, at this point, this memory I'm about to say was repressed, but she told me that one, she kind of just like validated, like, yeah, I saw she was in our high school for like a year or two while I was there too. And she validated the fact of like, yeah, and a lot of people have validated like, yeah, the bullying you experienced was another level comparatively. Like, there was just a lot of unchecked shit with the adults that ran our high school, but I would say I was like the outcast of the outcasts is kind of the best way to explain that. And she shared a memory with me that she witnessed. And when she told me the story, I had that, I think this is probably one of the last times I had a repressed memory come back up. And it was very, very jarring. Because there was a time that I was pantsed in the hallway, and they almost like I was able to catch it in time, but it was like one of those things where I was pantsed, and they almost showed me like nude. That was not the only time I had something that was close to like an I don't know if there was just some times where there was like kind of I'm gonna censor myself a little bit here, a little bit of like a actual harm where like, being pants to the point of like nudity in a hallway, like that would have been very traumatic. And in fact, what happened was so upsetting. Until she shared that memory with me, I did not remember it. And then all of a sudden I remembered like the color of underwear I was wearing that day. I remembered the moment. I remembered seeing her across the hall. Like that was the part that was crazy, is I remembered her standing there in her cheerleader uniform. And she like told me her recount of that, because she was never mean to me directly at all, but we never really interacted either. But she like told me about it, and like how at the time she wasn't happy about it or whatever. And you know and then there was like, because the other time that I think of it related to that moment was the time where I was like in the hallway, and this kid who was in front of me suddenly like dropped down and like started grinding on me, like in a way that I never would have wanted to be a part of. And I physically pushed him down to get him off me, like, and I think that happened in front of the assistant principal office, and they did nothing. Nothing was ever done. And my school was one of those schools that touted the like zero bullying tolerance and shit, and it was all for fucking show. Um, and I mentioned earlier in this video the games, and I think I mentioned it in the past. The games when like, I taught myself how to read and walk in the hallway, and that was one of my coping skills of like when I didn't have friends, when I didn't have people to talk to travel in packs essentially, because it was that was prime time when I was alone and move like in movement to the next classes and stuff. Like that was prime time for people to do shit like call me like a lot of different names. In fact, I think at some point, maybe on Snapchat or in another way, I shared the stories about like being called Free Willy, things like that. And that was why someone or someone's hashtagged um free, I think it was hashtag Free Willy, or it was some reference to whales. Um, and spammed on Instagram, like after I posted my first ever bikini photo, spammed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of posts of me in a bikini with the text hashtag Free Willy on it over and over and over and over. Um, and that shit, the amount of dehumanization I dealt with throughout childhood was immense. My family didn't have the means to move somewhere else. I don't know if there was an option. I mean, my parents didn't have the ability to drive me to and from schools outside of a district. I had to also deal with the bus and shit that happened on the bus, um, to and from school. So I was dealing with levels of nausea in the morning and from anxiety that some like a lot of mornings I couldn't win the fight with the nausea because of the immense amount of just, it's like I feel like bullying is almost like a light word for what I experienced. Like the intense amount of dehumanization that I experienced on a day-to-day basis. Like the time this girl walked up to me when I was waiting to get on the bus to go home one day, she pinched my butt, and I jumped and turned around as she ran away screaming, I touched it. I touched it. 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 Nothing major, but I cried. He got more ISS than me for bullying me. So that was nice. But I believe those were the only times I had physical
contacts, like, and the rest were just words. I have had more than one teacher who was not on my side. Generally, I was kind of a brown noser, I won't lie. But I had great connections with a lot of my teachers, and I really liked them a lot. But like I said, that Spanish teacher, she's the main reason why I despise Spanish. I hate it.
And I think she purposefully like failed me out and did not try to help me. I had to end up, that was one of the things I had to end up retaking at some point, and one of the things that attributed to me eventually, I don't know if I'm going to say it here, but eventually getting my GED. Like, there was other parts of it too. Like, I basically flunked out my freshman year due to the like extreme depression and just other stuff going on in my life and in my, because like my school life was so unstable, my home life wasn't fantastic. The only true reprise I ever felt was at church, and then around the age of 15, around these high school years, was when I started like having kind of that wake up and that realization that, oh wait, these people aren't really my friends either. They are obligated to treat me a certain way based on our religious convictions, and like that was hard. Because by the time I was 18, I had to basically completely start from scratch. I had to completely just start from the beginning with like an entirely new life. Like, and I think that's why like there was that kind of like lost year, the year that I was like 19, like 2011 was yeah, I was lost. I was floating.
And as a lesson, not as a culture or language, obviously. But I also have difficulty learning foreign languages, so it was just difficult all around.
I used to believe I was cursed. I used to believe that like I was just cursed and there was no way I could learn another language. I think it's just like a learning disability kind of thing.
I started really fighting back, getting in people's faces, yelling at people, shutting them down, and so I gained this reputation.
I went into like kind of a bulldog mode after I snapped.
Reputation of being a bitch, and feel people's anger towards me, and feel their drive to bully me more in a lot of ways, because I wasn't taking the shit anymore.
True. It also did make people a little more afraid of me, so it was kind of a catch-22.
I wasn't backing down. I was done. I was so done. And
I had been very much like doormat-ish before that. So yeah.
And my mood swings were out of control, and there were times where I believe I overly assumed situations, being a young adolescent, undiagnosed bipolar teenager.
A traumatized teenager.
Where I did overreact and yelled at people who didn't deserve it. And
that is true.
I can look back on that and see that now. And I do see a lot of mistakes that I made with some of the people who did try to be my friends. And there's one particular person that, throughout my entire high school career, I had a really like deep crush on for a long time. And I ended up alienating him away. And very recently we reconnected and started talking and kind of like cleared the air.
He and I are still like on a friendly texting basis occasionally. We talked for a bit like last year more regularly. We haven't really kept in communication. He's a chill dude. He's off living his life. But there was also like a whole side saga of how all that went down. That's crazy. It's not worth getting into in this video, but it was just crazy because of like who I was, that no one believed me. And this was before I could like easily get screenshots and photos of things to show proof that like someone was actively lying and demonizing me and told me they were going to do it to like literally take my friend away from me because they were an insecure girlfriend of his. Like, shit was wild. Like that whole, and then it ended up like that ended up playing out, and then he was like, yeah, sorry, I didn't believe you, kind of a thing.
And it was kind of a breath of fresh air. And I was like, oh, I got to say what I wanted to tell him, because I saw how much I had done wrong that at the time I just couldn't see. And I saw, how
hyper codependence, I to elaborate on that, I feel like what I did was I relied on him way too much for emotional support. I put way too much pressure on him in ways that I did not understand, and that I had been able to unpack and realize in therapy. And I felt awful because I realized that I had not treated him in ways that were fair or ways that a good friend would, and that I was toxic towards him, um because I was just kind of spewing my untreated mental illness and trauma on those around me, and that took a long time to really work on and figure out for myself.
how I'd been, I just like shat all over him, because of how much I was shit on. And I didn't see it. I didn't realize it, because
I'm loving how, like, I'll say things and then I unpause and I literally will say almost exactly what I just said. That shows a level of consistency with me that I deeply value as someone who feels like I've definitely struggled with consistency a lot in my life.
I wasn't doing it overtly. I wasn't doing it on purpose, but I really had just never really had someone, especially of the opposite gender, treat me with compassion. And anyway, there was a lot of specifics that I think I may not even get into. I'm already at 20 minutes, and I don't think I can really edit anything out. But I think that's pretty much everything that like as a general speaking. Oh no, it's not. Freshman year, my first freshman year, I failed almost everything because I was so caught up in the people around me, and I was so on the defensive, like all the time, trying to gauge, everyone else, that I wasn't doing.
So, what I don't think I verbalized here is I was experiencing extreme hypervigilance all day, every day. I was dealing with levels of bullying and home life stress and just constant chaos. And then the workload got harder. So, like, school wasn't like a cakewalk, easy thing for me anymore. It kind of just like caught up to me. And so I started shutting down a lot. And like, I think what was happening is I was coming home from school and I was just trying to numb myself out as much as possible, eating as much as possible, watching as much TV as possible, doing everything I could to just kind of escape from my problems, reading as much as possible. Um, and anything that was a sign I didn't want to read it, I wanted to read what I wanted to read, you know. If it was an assignment, it was no longer fun. So I couldn't, unfortunately, figure out a way to like weaponize that. But I will say lit was my favorite class.
Homework at all because I was drained. I had no energy. I was just sad constantly.
I was traumatized.
And I just hated myself so much. And the only things that really made me feel better were eating and watching TV and being alone.
Girl, I swear to God, I'm blind reacting to this. I promise you guys.
When I was home. And, I ended up I was failing classes all the time. And I didn't have confidence in myself. I didn't believe I could finish a research paper. I went through my entire career of high school. I never finished a full research paper.
I used to talk about that a lot. That was like a point of frustration. Remember, there was one time I got close, but I never completed it. And that was like a big problem, obviously. Like, I liked lit and I liked writing, but I guess it was like some weird block of like, I think like a manifestation of that insecurity and lacking sense of self.
I remember one time I had a teacher who really did her best to help me, and I just didn't believe in myself to follow through, and I didn't, and I ended up dropping out after going for 4 years because I couldn't do it, and I got my GED a few months later, and it was a breeze, and it was very easy.
So, near the end of my 4th year, like what ended up happening was basically I switched between like the tech high school degree versus the other one. I don't remember what the non-tech one is called. Like 2 or 3 times, which like means you need to do different criteria, which means you have to like take different types of classes to get the qualifying credits to actually graduate. I by the end of it, I think I was off. I think by the end of it, based on the kind of degree that I was at a certain point that like I couldn't switch back from for whatever reason, I was in need of basically doing almost a full year's worth of work, but most of the credits were like bullshit credits. They were like extracurricular. They were like credits that like weren't even the main academically sourced ones. Like, except for maybe like math, like a couple of the parts of things that I was actually like not good at generally. And like I think like language was one of them, and like I needed a certain kind of tech degree because like that's how I ended up doing home ec at one point. And so I came back and I was just like sobbing to my mom about it. I was scared. I was like, I don't think I'm strong enough to survive repeating a 5th year of high school. Like, I was already so, like, imagine the amount of bullying I would have experienced. Some of my worst bullies were in the year under me. Like, there was a lot in my grade, but the year under me, like, there's a couple people I could think of, like, specifically, like, especially because I flunked a lot of my first year. So my second year, I basically repeated the 9th grade, right? And because of how I had flunked out. And I think that was like one of the things that drove that insecurity of me feeling stupid, because it took me a long time to realize and accept that like I didn't flunk out because I was dumb. I flunked out because of environmental circumstance. And so that's a deep wound I feel. And my mom looked at me and I just remember her going, she was like, she just goes, you know, you can drop out. And I looked at her and I went, what? Because like hearing that from my mom was crazy. I thought like my mom was like the first person in her family and like her line of family to graduate high school. And then like when I was 17, she graduated from college. And so like my mom was just very much like, you have to get your high school diploma, you have to do this, you have to do that. That's how my mom was when I was younger. She's different now, but that's how she was when I was younger. And um I looked at her and I was like, really? To me that option wasn't even on the table. But like I don't remember if I verbalized it or not, but like it genuinely made me want to like unalive. Like I was so scared of that concept. And so when she reaffirmed that with me, I was like, say less. But pretty much. And then I dropped out, turned around, I went through the local community colleges. So in Georgia, at least at the time, you could get your GED paid for. I think it was like a $90 fee or something. You can get it paid for if you do up to 40 hours of pre-coursework, essentially like pre-testing work. And so they gave me all this work. I got it done super quick because it really was. I was surprised at how easy everything was to get the GED. Like for me specifically, like the coursework, the actual test itself was not hard. Like high school was harder than getting a GED. And So I did all that work, right? Then they give me a bunch of extra work. I do that. They give me some more. I do that. And they're like, you're about, it was like either 2 or 4 hours short, but we're out of work to give you. So we're just gonna pass you and move you forward to, and they approved me for that like grant or whatever. So basically, I didn't have to worry about paying to get my GED. Did the testing, and then passed, did everything, and yeah. So I am not a high school graduate. I never walked. I also never got to go to prom, which is why in 2019, I believe, was when I went to my adult prom, through like plus size places. But I I never got to go to prom. I was I don't think it would have been a good time for me. I did go to a homecoming dance once or twice. Um but uh I didn't I didn't get to walk. I didn't get to graduate high school. And I think that used to be more of a sore spot. I feel like nowadays those types of topics have a little less stigma around them. And there's a little bit more understanding and compassion and education around it. But it does suck. It sucks because I know, had I had my support needs met, had I had adults in the sphere of school and in my life that had either had the resources to help me more or had the care to help me more, it could have been different. It didn't have to play out the way that it did. And that makes me sad, like, but I feel like in a lot of ways, I have mourned that and I've moved on from the pain of that as like a 32-year-old woman. I would say here 22-year-old Rosie was still reeling a little bit. Um, Not maybe as much as when I was like 18 or 19, but I think I don't think I had even fully healed from everything like that happened with my first ex at this point. So there's still a lot that I was processing and going through, a lot. It's just a lot.
But I had to leave high school because of how bad the environment was. And I couldn't finish. And it's a regret I have to this day. And I hate it. But you can't change the past. You can only look forward to the future. And I genuinely believe that. So, if you have more questions in regards to like what went down when I was in high school and things that were said to me, if you want to continue the discussion, my friends and kind viewers, feel free to put your questions.
That was targeted. Sorry. I will say I was trying to not engage with the hate. And there is something to say about the bravery of me saying shit like this, knowing who was watching me.
Questions, and I will make a continuation of this video. Hopefully I can make it a little bit shorter. Because I don't think I'm gonna edit this at all.
Me currently uploading fucking 11-hour streams, 30-minute vlogs, worried about a 20-minute video, where nowadays it's like my minimum requirement is 20 minutes for a video. Like, so, okay, bestie.
I feel like everything I said is important.
And it is. It is important. These experiences were important. And I'm shocked. I thought this was gonna be a lot more trauma dumpy. There was a couple moments. I feel like I've explained more of that, just adding context to what I wasn't sharing, like what I was guarding for myself. And I'm actually surprised. Like, I'm surprised.
And hopefully only those who are really dedicated to bettering themselves and wanting to understand where I come from in my journey of doing this will actually watch it. And I really care about you guys. And I hope you saw my most recent post, because genuinely I can't thank you enough for everything that you have said and all the outreach and all the love. And just my heart is just so warm and filled with love, and nothing anyone could say to me now will ever hurt me compared to all the joy you all bring me. And I love you all so much.
Parasocially.
And I cannot thank you enough.
And we did touch a little bit about that in my 11-hour live stream that I did recently, because I think that that's something that I didn't fully understand at this point. And also, I don't even know if the word parasocial really existed yet, but it's important to like say, like, there's feelings of affection and care and joy and positivity that come from these connections, but I do take love seriously, and it's like I think it is important to make those distinctions, like, because at the end of the day we don't know each other. There's a parasocial connection that exists and can have a real levity and impact in our real lives, but I like to acknowledge that at least.
I cannot thank you enough. So I hope that you all have a wonderful evening, that you all have great days, and lots of smiles, and I hope that you all stay true to who you are, because you guys are great. Thank you.
I guess I used to have kind of like a bit of an outro there. Hope you have a great night, great rest of your days wherever you are, and stay true. Maybe I should redo that. Maybe I should start doing that in my vlogs. I don't know. What do you guys think? Wow, this has been a lot. I'm glad I did that. That was good for me in the sense of I feel it's I feel nice in seeing that, like, there was levels of maturity and growth, even though, because I think when I think back to my like past self in those places, I tend to remember a lot of the negatives. It's hard for me to remember like the effort that I put into myself to try and grow and be better and do better in that sense. Like, obviously there was a lot of flundering and flounder, and I was trying to put my best face forward on YouTube, right? But it's just interesting. It's interesting to watch that almost 10 years later. That's crazy. That's just crazy. So if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. I have more videos that I can retro react to like that. And I think some of them will show different sides of me. There's one called like where I rant about some mega BS. And I think that'll be harder for me to watch and get through, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm leaving this feeling good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night wherever you are. A great day, and stay true. Bye.